Pastor Roy Gerhardt from Galloway United Methodist Church in Franklin, Pennsylvania, sharing a few words of encouragement to help us follow after Jesus. Well, here we are in the first week of 2022, and this can be a real launch point in our lives where we launch out into what God has next. But for many people, this is a time of the year that goes exactly the opposite, that they fall into a malaise, a pointlessness, feeling absolutely lost. Now, why does that happen to us? Well, think about where we have been. In the holiday season, we have had a goal in sight, a mission to accomplish, and it has built a great sense of anticipation in us. But then, after reaching that high point, when all the gifts have been given, all the meals have been shared, all the worship services have been completed, it can feel like that's all done, it's over, and now there's nothing to look forward to. So clearly, we need our next mission. We need a new goal to pursue. But how do we do that? How do we find our next step? Well, for many people, they approach goal setting, and especially this time of the year with trying to come up with New Year's resolutions and all of those kinds of efforts at promoting some new step in our life, we'll approach them in an exactly upside down manner, where we will look at life and say, what goals do I have? What do I want to accomplish? And then look to God as if we are supposed to get God on board with all of our plans and purposes to help us to fulfill our dreams. But that is upside down of the way that life needs to be lived. Let me share with you what was happening in my life last week. Last week, I was sick with the flu. All week down, I was just crushed by it. And so I had one overarching goal that stood forth last week. That was to get over the flu. And there were things I could do to help that along. I could get lots of rest, drink plenty of fluids, take appropriate medications, and all of that would set me up to get over the flu. But there were, of course, options that I could take that would have worked against all of that. I could have said, I have no time to stop and rest. There's no rest for the weary. And I could have refused to take care of myself, drinking good fluids. Instead, drink lots of caffeine and booze instead of juice. And I could have done all of those things, continuing to drive myself forward. And all of that would have worked against that goal of getting over the flu. One other thing, though, that stands out to me about all of that is this, that all I could do is either set myself up to be in the best position possible to get over the flu, or I could do things that would have worked against that, but I couldn't actually make myself get over the flu. For that, I had to wait. I had to wait on that process to play out in my body. I had to wait on God for that healing. And that is a lot the way that goals need to be worked out in our life and understood. That you see, we can seize our lives in hand and say, I'm going to lead this thing. I'm going to make it go forward. And just like the person with the flu who refuses to take rest, who refuses to take care of themselves and to take those appropriate steps that would set them up to get better, they could push themselves in this direction and just say, somebody else has to come along and fix all of this, or I will myself. And honestly, we end up hindering ourselves in finding the real fulfillment of that greater purpose. And it's like that in life. Pursuing the purposes of life all on our own and demanding that God or somebody else get on board and make them all happen is the pathway that leads us to sin and destruction. The thing that we have to recognize is that we really are not ultimately in charge of our lives. That we need to, in fact, turn to the one who is. And so that we need to pick up where we were yesterday with prayer. In fact, there is a scripture in Ephesians 6, a passage that is all about being combat ready in your life, that says you and I need to pray in a particular way, pray in the Spirit on all occasions with all kinds of prayers. We need to pray in a way that connects our lives with God, that allows His Spirit to lead us into His purpose and will. Then His presence and power can fill our lives, and we will find in all of this the power of God and the fulfillment of that mission and calling that we are truly searching for. But it means this, that you and I have to live our lives setting ourselves up in the best possible way for God's Spirit to lead us, for God's presence to abide with us, and for us to fulfill his will and purpose. And when we do that, we'll find that mission that we're looking for. May God bless you, and as you share his good news, may God make you a blessing wherever he takes you.